Okay, so let's dive into this. We're talking about Taylor Swift, but way before the, global domination stage.
Like back to high school. It's fascinating because her current reality is just massive.
Totally. Like 72,000 people a night in stadiums. That's insane. $13 million per show.
And the Ears Tour movie, didn't it just break records? Like 93 million domestic opening.
Yeah, and another 31 million overseas. Just
Ugh.
huge numbers. But we're winding the clock way back.
To Hendersonville High School. And the picture there, well, it's surprisingly different.
That's what's so interesting. We're getting this perspective from a former classmate, Jessica McLean. She was on TikTok talking about it.
Yeah, her recollections give us this kind of raw, unfiltered glimpse
Mhm.
before the massive fame hit,
And her big claim, the one that grabs you, is that apparently most people hated her back then.
which is jarring, right? Considering her image now. Jessica was a freshman when Taylor was a junior, so this is definitely that early period.
And a lot of it, according to Jessica, came down to her songs. People thought they were petty.
Hmm. It really shows how art hits differently depending on the audience, especially when that audience is, well, your classmates.
Specifically, Teardrops on My Guitar, that 2006 track. That one seems to have really rubbed some people the wrong way.
Yeah, and that came out right around the time Taylor left Hendersonville High, summer of '06, to be homeschooled because her career was taking off.
But leaving didn't just, erase the feelings, apparently. Jessica made it clear this wasn't just online stuff. It was how kids at the school felt.
So why? What was driving that negativity?
Well, Jessica points straight at the song lyrics. Taylor writing about the guy she dated.
And they weren't exactly painted in the best light, right?
Not always, no.
Yeah.
And these guys were still walking the halls. Jessica literally said now they have a hit song about them talking about what a sudsy boyfriend they are.
Oof. Yeah, you can see how that would stir things up in a high school environment. Major awkwardness, probably some anger too.
Definitely. And on top of that, Jessica mentioned rumors were flying around about how Taylor even got her start in the first place.
Ah, okay. So you've got the song content hitting close to home, maybe some envy, maybe just typical high school gossip. It all mixes together.
Yeah, the takeaway was just that a lot of kids did not have nice things to say about her. Simple as that, it seems.
But then the story takes this really interesting twist, doesn't it?
It really does. Fast forward 3 years to 2009, Jessica's now a senior. Taylor's a huge star.
And Taylor invites the entire graduating class to the CMA Awards.
The whole class, where she performed 15, which is, all about looking back at high school.
Okay, wow. What was the reaction?
Jessica said at first everyone was just really excited. I mean, who wouldn't be? Free tickets to the CMAs from the Taylor Swift.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, but given the history.
Exactly. Jessica herself called it very random, considering how things supposedly were just a few years before.
And she developed a theory about why Taylor did it.
Oh, yeah. She connects it to later things, like Taylor announcing the Midnight's album on Kim Kardashian's birthday. Strategic moves.
So she thinks the CMA invite wasn't an olive branch.
Not according to Jessica. She thinks it was, and this is her phrasing, a middle finger, like a delayed one.
Whoa. So basically, look at me now.
That's the interpretation. Jessica literally said, she invited us to the CMAs to say expletive you, and we deserved it. So to Taylor, touche, that was a good one.
That is quite a take. It paints a picture of someone who doesn't forget.
And when Jessica shared this on TikTok, a lot of people seem to agree with that vibe, or at least support Taylor in it.
What were people saying?
Lots of comments like, as she should, stay petty girl, and, the classic, no better revenge than success.
Yeah, that tracks. And someone pointed out the jealousy angle, too.
Right, that people often hate on others who are achieving big things purely out of jealousy.
And did Jessica address that jealousy aspect herself?
She did, yeah. In a follow-up video, she kind of owned it, acknowledging that, yeah, there were other kids trying to make music locally.
And they weren't getting that same kind of traction. Seeing Taylor blow up.
Exactly. It probably fueled resentment, maybe led to spreading rumors that Taylor was mean or unpleasant. She admitted jealousy was likely part of it.
It adds another layer, doesn't it? The complexity of those teenage dynamics.
For sure. And then you have Taylor's side of the story, too, her own memories of high school.
Which are quite different from the hated narrative, as I recall.
Yeah.
She talked about feeling isolated, correct?
Yeah, isolated for being weird and different. She said songwriting was basically her way of coping, her therapy, because she didn't feel like she had friends to talk to.
So while some classmates might have perceived her one way, her internal experience was one of loneliness. That's really telling.
And sadly, not unique. The article we looked at mentions that loads of high schoolers report being bullied or feeling alienated. It's a tough time for many.
It really is. But what's interesting here is how that feeling of being an outcast, that difference,
It might be the very thing that drove her.
it seems plausible, yeah. That her experiences, maybe the loneliness, the feeling of being different, channeled directly into her songwriting, her ambition.
Turning a negative into a huge positive, essentially. Like that whole idea that what makes you weird as a kid sometimes becomes your superpower later.
Exactly. And the source material had that final little jab referencing her song Mean, right?
It did.
Yeah.
And all those other girls who gave her a hard time are ever going to be as mean. A perfect little callback.
So, summing it all up, you have this stark contrast. The alleged high school animosity versus this unbelievable global success.
Yeah, and this whole deep dive really highlights, teenage social stuff, jealousy, how people react to success.
And resilience, too. How someone can take those difficult early experiences and, well, build an empire.
And that CMA invitation, viewed through Jessica's middle finger lens, it adds this layer of maybe, just maybe, strategic remembering.
It definitely makes you pause and think about it.
So, for you listening, it kind of prompts the question, doesn't it? How do those early social bumps in the road, the good and the bad, actually shape where we end up?
Mm-hmm. And is there something to that idea that being different, feeling like you don't quite fit in, maybe that's actually your strength in disguise?
It's a powerful thought. And maybe one last thing to chew on is if you knew somehow that you were heading for a major triumph down the road,
Yeah.
how would that change how you feel about the challenges or the slights you're facing right now? Is there a kind of power in holding on to that, in remembering the tough stuff as you move forward?